How's it going? We're continuing with our series on P1A visa drafting, and right now we're in the eligibility section of the petition, and we're going to speak on significant national or international awards that would make one leading in one or more country. So let's focus on that. It's not international award. The award could be national, and it's just that the recognition would need to be for more than one country, not all over the world. So when you look at it, it's pretty narrow what this should mean. It doesn't have to be an Olympic medal. It could be a national championship that makes you regionally recognized in your corner of the world, not the whole world as a whole. And so what we'll do now is look at a couple of examples of when this has been a problem area. And it's common for this to be a problem area because it's subjective, rather than objective of if this is a significant award or not. So there's a lot of room to play there, which makes it kind of similar to an O1 category, although the criteria, what you have to prove is much less than proving significant awards in the O1 category. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can look at these examples. All right, so here we have one of our templates, and that's why it's color-coded for our drafters. But here you see it, evidence that the beneficiary have received a significant national and or international awards to the extent that the beneficiary is renowned, leading, or well-known in more than one country. And right here we put some context for them. So it can be participation requirements to participate in a match that can be used as evidence for it, recognition by other expert or competitors. So expert letters are great to kind of show how important an award is. And this is good information too here. Demonstrated record of first, second, and third place finishes amongst distinguished competitors can be considered a significant award. So say, for example, if you challenged for a world championship, but you didn't win, that is technically a second place finish. And we've used that in boxing to prove this award, even though they didn't get the championship if they competed for it and lost. And then we say that we use a lot of media coverage. So say if you have 4 or 5 different media reports from different places in the world that all speak to the same accomplishment, then probably that accomplishment is significant, and you know that it makes you recognized in more than one country because the coverage is coming from different countries, which is helpful to point out. And so usually what we'll do is we'll list the award, and then we'll talk about where is one, give some background on it, and then we'll talk about the organization that issued the award. And sometimes we'll give examples of other people that have won it, and we'll also include, if we can, listings of previous winners, any prize money that's associated with it, and other kind of tangible evidence that we can put into the file to show that the award is significant and people in more than one country know about it. And next, we'll look at a couple of examples to where we had some pushback from USCIS on whether the awards category was satisfied. So right here, we're looking at a request for evidence for a motorcyclist. And let's see what they said. You submitted, this is an RFE we were fixing by, that was submitted by another attorney. So you submitted a list of races won, awards, and titles for which the beneficiary achieved. You sent photocopies of the beneficiary participating in events and receiving trophies, awards. And that's common. So a lot of people that do a lot of P1 visas, they'll just send like a picture of somebody holding a trophy and say like, well, they won the trophy. But that's not necessarily what they're looking for. So while the trophy, if you can get close enough, is good enough to show that, hey, they did win something, it's the other evidence that's actually more persuasive to show what's going on. Like they say here and there, that's actually a fair point. Photographs and list of awards are insufficient, establishing that such awards are considered significant honors or awards in the sport. Fair play on them on this one. So what we did in responding to this request for evidence is, of course, list our information for context. And then we went into our arguments for this. So this one was kind of borderline on eligibility. It turns out that he was about a 50% probability of being a good candidate for P1. So we had to really kind of dress this up. So the first one, it's never great when you're starting with fourth, fifth, and sixth place finishes. But here we went with that. That's the best we had, was for these high finishes in super sport. And then we tried to say that the Superbike Championship is, we try to make it this grand thing, so that if you come in a high placement, that you are one of the most recognized people coming up. And like this one's a smaller, like a junior cup that comes up, but we were able to get media reports about that individual that came up in Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and I think another country. And we went and listed previous winners, which some of them were very, very, very prominent, but it's a little bit later in their career. The next thing that we also claimed was he was selected to participate as a part of the Australian national team at this Asian tournament. And so we went and built that one up too, basically saying that the selection to this was like being selected to an all-star team, pretty much. And we definitely included letters from probably 4 to 6 people to kind of just push on every point that we put on these two things to push this over the board, as far as this 5th and 6th place finish and this selection to the all-star team, which was a junior international tournament with, I think, about maybe 10 nations participating, and really focused on the selection process to get the opportunity in the first place. Now, the next one we'll look at is a boxing request for evidence, where this is something that's usually pretty straightforward. If somebody has a regional championship with one of the 4 major sanctioning bodies in boxing, such as the WBC, World Boxing Council, WBA, World Boxing Association, IBO, International Boxing Organization, and the other one. And usually you show them the box rec. We give information on the background of the organization that's issuing the awards in boxing, and it's fine. But sometimes you'll get an officer that gives like a pushback. So let's see what they say. Fierco Box is one of the many federations affiliated with WBC. It also appears a silver championship is an interim title that does not get elevated to the full recognition of world champion. Fiercom Box appears to be a specific boxing federation in Mexico. So this is when you start to see that maybe the officer doesn't do a lot of P1 visa applications, or worse, has something against you, because we do not have to show that he's a world champion. We just have to show that he has a national championship that garners international recognition in more than one country, which could be 2 countries. So let's see what they say here. It's one of many federations affiliated with the WBC. It doesn't matter. It appears that a silver championship is an interim title that's not elevated to a full recognition of world champion. That also doesn't matter. Fiercom Box appears to be a specific boxing federation in Mexico. I don't think that's true. I think it's more I think they're based in Mexico, but it's for the entire region there. But even if it was, that would make it a national championship. Right. And they mentioned that we have the Associated Press related with those aforementioned accolades are acknowledged. So we give them press, and then they just choose to say that it's not enough detail or whatever to look into that. So sometimes you got to deal with that. And that's why I say the awards category is subjective, because they can look at all the information that no one would normally present for that. And I'll show you what that is first. So let's go to his box rec. Right. So you can see he's 10-0, ranked 188. Pretty good boxing thing. So vacant silver title. That's the one that he won right here. And so what we do is we print this out, and it'll show all the people that have won it. Show like there's Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. There's some really good boxers in here. Hassan Nadam and Jikum. He's really good with Liam Williams. These are some of the best boxers in the world at the Barclays Center, Madison Square Garden, the Sky Dome, the O2 Arena that have the Alamo Dome was the first one that this title was defended. This is a this is a major championship, right? And then what we also do is we do so many boxing things that we have the supporting documents ready to go on every one. So we showed them the rules and regulation of the WBC, along with the Board of Governors, so they can see. We showed them how the federations are broken up and broken down. So it's all there. So in our RFE, we don't bother giving them the language on this one because they got it in the original petition. But we go in more detail to explain how the WBC breaks up its affiliations, and then we bring that up with supporting letters from other people in the industry that give quotes to say like, "Hey, this is exactly why this is important." So here we had Dimitri, Nelson Lopez, Otto Whalen, Ivana. And unfortunately, on this one, it just wasn't, well, actually, no, I think it was enough to get it over the hump, but it's not something we should have had to do because this was presented properly. It was a good championship, but you have to always be careful with this category because officers do have the leeway to kind of do what they want because it's a subjective category rather than an objective category, like do you have a ranking or participation with a national team. So that's one thing to think about when you're doing awards. Just kind of go over and beyond with extra evidence, and then also be honest with yourself that sometimes the officer is just going to do what they want to do, but you want to have it in the record so you can maybe appeal or even litigate it on it later if you don't get all the categories you need to establish that eligibility.